Welcome back to the Matrix. And into the Matrix you are. The Matrix. How's it feel, Neo? And today we got ourselves a banger. Daily market news analysis. What is up? What is up? How's everyone feeling out of 10? Let me know down in the comments down below. Make sure you guys spam the like button so other people can spam that like button. As of the time of recording, it's October 27th, 2025. Bitcoin currently sitting at $114,400, and what we can see, what we've talked a lot about, is the 200 moving average being a critical level of support for Bitcoin, which it has been, and we have bounced off of that, going to the critical 0.5 Fibonacci retracement, which to me is going to be the decision. And the decision is this: are we going to break above into the previous all-time high, getting to the top of the range again, or are we going to get rejected and most likely hold this as support again, creating a higher low? So that is the big decision for Bitcoin. What we can see on the 5-hour chart is we've had a big breakout back test of the prior range. Of course, we have the what we do have right now is the Fed is in a couple of days right now. My bet, though, to be honest, with Bitcoin, we could go down to 112. We could even fill out the CME gap. The Fed is in 2 days. They're going to cut rates. My bet is everyone is way entirely too pessimistic. It is very bearish. It's just misery. Both of these, in all reality, are equally as likely. My bet, though, with the way that the sentiment is that we're going to go to the top of the range, and we're going to see that. That is my bet. That's where I'm placing my bets. What we've been seeing a lot, though, with gold, it's just the big rotation is what I'm calling it. Gold, for a long time, has just been absolutely parabolic and has been stealing our lunch money in a lot of ways. But this is now continuing to make lower lows and lower highs. In fact, I have been making a killing shorting gold all the way down, and I sold 40% of my gold as we were looking like this, October 16th, 2025. We have not been higher for a second. We have not been higher. Not for a second have we been higher since October 16th, and I plan to short this all the way down. Now, I don't think it's going to be, listen, here's the deal. Gold isn't some cryptocurrency, and it's not going to behave like some meme coin. So it's not likely that it's just going to go straight down off to Hades and back test 3,300. It's more likely going to gruel its way down. But that's all we really need, is for it to gruel its way down and start to rotate into, Bitcoin, and start to rotate into the Russell, and start to rotate into the stock market. In reality, we had the big spring tariff, and we went into this parabolic euphoric run all the way to the 3618. Well, did we have a moment like that for gold, where it had a big spring and went absolutely parabolic before grueling its way down? And the answer is yes. Gold went absolutely parabolic August of 2020 before it topped out and grueled its way down. And I don't need to tell you guys what happened after August of 2020, but in my opinion, more or less, that's way too simply to put it. But more or less, I think that's what's going to happen, is gold has been stealing the lunch money with this absolutely euphoric run, and it got the most overbought that it has been since, coincidentally, August of 2020 on the daily. But on the monthly chart, guess what? Gold is the most overbought that it has been right now since 1979, okay? Not, a couple of weeks ago, not a couple of months ago, not a couple of years ago, a few decades ago. This is the most overbought that gold has been for a few decades. And so in the bigger term, in my opinion, that's what's going to happen, is we're going to continue to see rotation of capital from gold into the stock market, into the Russell 2000, and into cryptocurrency. Now, it's not going to be linear. It's not going to be this like today gold peak to tomorrow off to Valhalla. It's not going to work like that. But in my opinion, that is what we are going to see. Now, speaking of the Russell 2000, we have been following this fractal hilariously, almost perfectly. And I mean almost literally perfectly. And what is the Russell 2000, you might be asking? And what is this fractal here? This fractal is from over here. From 2018 to the C19 crash, which I'm saying that gold has the same exact setup from, into the parabolic run, and we went into distribution for the Russell 2000, which is a signal of risk on assets. This was March of 2021 through November of 2021. We went into distribution. And so I pulled a fractal from over here, and I have outlined it over the April tariffs, which I'm making the case. That's how we are behaving. And we are following this almost hilariously. And in fact, even this, look at this big liquidation that took place in 2021. Guess what? The exact same time frame. Literally the same size candle and everything that we had on October 10th from the big double black swan. And if I zoom out, you can see this is following this to a T right now. And if we were to continue to follow this, we're going to make a higher high and then a higher low, and that would be the start of distribution. And we know, of course, this is when the distribution took place. Let's go back to Bitcoin, because one thing that I didn't talk about was right now, just the sentiment, the feeling is just in the absolute dumps. Okay, it's just horrible. It's just grueling. This is a miserable time for everyone. In fact, it reminds me so much of 2024. And like, let's take a trip down memory lane here for a minute. And just the emotional warfare that took place during this time was insanity. And what happened was we went to this nice little run. We slightly made a new all-time high. Everyone got their hopes up. They're like, this is it. We're at 74K. This is it. Off to Neverland. What color is your Lamborghini going to be? Only to have the rug pulled down to 60K. And then we went back up again to 73K. Everyone got their hopes up again. This is it. We're finally breaking out, only to have the rug pulled back down to 57K. Bounced again all the way up to 72K. This is it. Finally, those two, no. Only to have the rug pulled again back down to 53K. And just the emotional warfare, the get your hopes up only to have the rug pulled. Get your hopes up only to have the rug pulled back to 49K. This was a miserable, 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 miserable time in crypto. More miserable here, actually, than back in 2022. After FTX went to zero, this was more exhausting for most people than even over here, because we had been on a downtrend. It was like, okay, whatever. How much worse can it get? Whatever. Maybe we go to 10K. Whatever. This, having your hopes up only to have the rug pulled again and again and again, it got everyone to a point of despair and disbelief that nobody believed this rally. When we finally started putting in higher lows and higher highs in October of 2024, nobody believed in this until we were already at 100K. And so I pulled a fractal over here for Bitcoin, and this isn't a perfect structural fractal. I would give this a B plus out of, I would give this an 8 out of 10, or a B plus, maybe a B minus, B. But you can see, though, it is pretty good. Like, you definitely see a lot of the same peaks. You definitely see a lot of the same valleys. And you have the same liquidation. This was the Japan rate cut. But the sentiment and the vibe, to me, is almost identical of just how much misery, how much despair there really is. And guess where we went to during this time? To the 200 moving average, the 200 EMA. We went slightly below it, but what did we find as support here? The 200 EMA. So is it the same but just different? You be the judge of that. You can let me know in the comments. We'll take a look at Ethereum, and I'll give you guys my thoughts overall on the market, and then we'll get into your guys' questions, comments, concerns. I like Ethereum here. This is a lot of support that basically, you know, the thing that I brought up a lot is the 200 EMA gives me a little bit of pause, but this thing is sloping almost straight up. And it's continuing to slope up. By the time anything were able to catch this, we would probably already be at the 3,500 where we found a support anyways. So to me, this is, I don't want to say it's a non-factor, but I'm less concerned about it than I was. But what we can see from a structural standpoint, all this really was for Ethereum was a big breakout and a back test of the prior range, which this was over a year of support. So this makes me very encouraged with Ethereum. We are too, just like what we talked about with Bitcoin, we're at the retracement. This is the decider. Are we going to come back and make it higher low, or is this going to break out, go to the top of the range? Ultimately, one thing that I don't think is different, I do think that Ethereum breaking out into price discovery is still going to be the leader of actual real deal altcoins. So we'll see. You know, if Bitcoin does what I think it's going to do, going to the top of the range, I think Ethereum is going to do the exact same thing. If Bitcoin gets rejected here at the retracement, I think Ethereum is going to do the exact same and put in a higher low. Ultimately, I put it out October 11th, I believe I put it out. The 28-day low is in. I still think that is true. And we have, what, 2 weeks, a week, 10 days for that call to be good. So we will see. But overall, I don't mind the structure of Ethereum. I think it has a pretty decent setup. I'm going to be looking to continue to long Bitcoin. I'll be looking to long Ethereum. And I'm going to continue to look to long, I'm going to continue to look to short gold. We'll talk about XRP. And then that'll be that. So for XRP specifically, I like the price action that we've gotten for XRP. Where is my XRP? My God. I like the price action that we've gotten for XRP over the last few days. I do think that we are flirting. Here we go. With flipping back to bullish. We talked about getting above the 200. That's going to be the first big check mark. If we can get above the 200 EMA, which is about $2.61, and then hold this for a couple of days, that's really good. And then we could definitely say that this was just a spring. And I made the case that we're doing Wyckoff reaccumulation. We need to hold that. That's the first big thing. And then if we can put in a higher high by the grace of God, that would definitely be classified as a spring and flip us completely back bullish. If we were to do that, ultimately my targets for XRP are still the exact same, $5, $8. But the important thing is, what do you guys think? Let me know down in the comments below. Make sure you guys like, subscribe,